Hi, I'm Jasper Oorthuys. I am the editor-in-chief at Current Strike Publishers, the publishers of Wargames Soldiers and Strategy magazine, and I'm the founder of the Great Wargaming Survey, together with Guy Bowers, the editor of Wargames Soldiers and Strategy. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. Today we want to talk about a major project that you have been doing. How are we on year 9, 10?
10.
The 10th year
10th edition,
of the Great Wargaming Survey.
Yep.
That's crazy. But also really cool because it means that we are really now accumulating a pretty significant database of results to look at trends over a decade-long period of time.
Yeah, fortunately I don't have to do the analysis. It's mostly Miles and John Freitag who really helped.
John Freitag does really all the work.
Yeah, he does the most complicated stuff.
Yeah, it takes
I'm not qualified to
takes some real nerds to do that kind of analysis.
Oh.
I resemble that remark.
Yeah, me too.
You know, if people want to get the full depth of all of the results, WSS, you guys do a great job on your blog putting out all the results and making them public. Here in this video, I thought it might be nice for us to go over a couple of kind of the big headlines that we thought were interesting, especially interesting from the 2023 survey. And to me, two of the big ones are technology related. One of them was a new question about 3D printing, and another is an old question that goes back to the beginning of COVID about virtual gaming. Yeah. I see both of those as two very different ways that technology is influencing our hobby, and we got some very interesting survey results from those.
I was shocked because I didn't expect the level of penetration of ownership of 3D printing to be as high. Now, 62% of the respondents say they don't have one. I expected that number to be 80. And then of the remaining 38%, 10% have both, 10% have a resin printer, 6% have a filament printer, and 10% are thinking about getting one. I was just really shocked by both by the low penetration, but just the filament printers, which have been around the longest and are the cheapest.
I thought filament printers would be the most popular of the two.
Yeah.
And the fact that so many people have resin printers.
And maybe next year we should add a question. Another option, no, but I plan to find friends who have one.
Yes, which may be a good section of that 62%.
Yeah.
I think there's some pretty profound kind of implications. One, we're starting to see a lot of producers of historical 3D miniature lines, like Henry Turner, who often releases his products through Kickstarter and then sells them on a web store.
But yeah, I mean, one of the few people that I know that I'm a patron of on Patreon, Wakes Emporium, is a guy who makes STL files.
Right.
And you're seeing a huge proliferation in the number of people who are kind of getting into that business. So it'll be interesting over the next few years to see how this continues to evolve. Something I think that has devolved a little bit on the technology side. Second big takeaway. I was really interested this year to see where the data was going to go on the question about virtual gaming and remote gaming, because we all remember the early COVID days when it was everywhere. Everybody was interested in virtual gaming. HMGS ran an all virtual convention and said it was going to be a staple every year. It never happened again. What does the data tell us, Miles, about what's happening with virtual gaming?
Virtual gaming is continuing its descent into oblivion.
Rapid descent.
Correct decision of HMGS.
I think Jasper's looking up the exact numbers.
Yeah, I've got those here. Let's see. Virtual gaming, people who have tried virtual gaming. In 2021, it was 39%. Yep. That was,
And we were some of those people. We tried it.
We did. I hated it. Well, in 2022, 39 went down to 27. Yep. And this year, in 2023, I wanted to see if that was going to stabilize. No. It did not. No. We are now down to 18%. So basically, in the course of just 2 years, it's cut in half.
Yeah.
Of which the people who said yes, they do, only a very small number say that they want to keep doing it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like half of those. So people who have done it this year might not do it again. And then other people who haven't tried it the past year, there's a small number who want to try it, but that's maybe like, if an opportunity presents itself type, I'll try it.
And I find myself of two minds. Like I've dutifully tried to put on a virtual game
with Zoom,
and
a lot of pressure.
It was a miserable experience for everyone involved, including the GM. But I also had something I wanted to work, because one of the key things about this hobby is the community.
Yeah.
And when you see a lot of the undertones of questions, there are people searching for community.
Yeah, struggling to find other players.
And I thought this was a way to kind of slay that, and we just haven't figured out how to work the technology.
No.
But I think we may actually see it bounce back a little bit once we figure out the right venues to do that.
It could be. It's just, yeah, as we look at sort of two pillars of technology, it's interesting to see on the 3D print.
Not us.
Yeah, definitely not at this table. On the 3D print side, technology has caught up to the hobby in a very positive way. But on the actual gaming side, the technology doesn't seem to be there yet.
Well, I've got a logic question. How do we treat STL files in terms of counting the number of figures in our pile of shame?
Infinite. I have infinite figures.
Yeah, I mean, if you call it a pile of potential, then it's perfect because an STL is a potential.
You know, I've tried that with my wife, and it didn't work.
Oh, well.
So why don't we end our headlines with everyone's least favorite headline? Every time we bring this up on the channel, we get all kinds of comments about people who say, stop talking about the graying of the hobby. We were talking about the graying of the hobby in the 70s. Well, we didn't have this kind of data collection in the 70s to really know. It was anecdotal. Now, thanks to the work you guys are doing at WSS, we've got 10 years of data to take a look at. And Miles, what is the latest on the supposed graying of the hobby?
Based on the respondents to our survey,
Which is always very important.
It's
That's
important.
true.
It could be a self-selecting sample size.
of people who subscribe to magazines. And we had over 9,000 respondents, so a really nice sample size for this year. 13% were under 30. 42% were between 30 and 50, and a whopping 45% were 51 and higher. Well, sadly, I fall in that category.
That 45% number is interesting. I'll put a graphic up on the screen to show people right now what the 10-year trend line looks like on the graying of the hobby. And folks, you can draw your own conclusions from the graphic that you're looking at right now on the screen.
But just for those of you who are not looking because you don't want to see the graphic, in 2014, the first year we had this question, the age distribution was 21% were under 30, 57% were at 31 to 50, and 22% were 51 or higher. So there has been this bubble going through the demographics of the age.
So they were all in their 40s already.
And I think there are some implications. You know, I think the hobby, tabletop gaming, is doing great, both with young people. I think historicals, we may not be doing as well. And we're starting to see some of the data show that spending behavior is starting to trend down, right? Because the one thing that there's a correlation, people in their 30s and 50s are the whales. They're the ones who spend the most and have the proclivity to want to spend the most. For the first time, we actually seen a shift to people saying, I'm going to spend a little bit or a lot less. There is a shift there where that population is growing older, and manufacturers are going to have to find new ways to serve new customers. The one really good news about this group is when we ask the question about their likelihood to continue in the hobby, you get a stunning answer, which we've had this answer consistently. 98% of the respondents are either very, very likely or likely to continue in the hobby. And it's always been 98% in the survey. So I think as you think about this hobby as a potential industry to sell into that, once you hook a person into the hobby, they're there for life. And they're very enthusiastic. They may buy a little bit more or a little bit less, but once you're in, you're in. And I think that's actually a testament to how engaging the hobby can be, and that we have a great product that we're trying to sell.
We just have to figure out how to sell it more.
And we have to figure out how to sell it more to younger people who have so many more options.
And less disposable income.
And some of those options don't require the level of preparation that traditional tabletop games require, and you got to find a way to bridge that gap.
Sure.
Pre-painted 3D minis, I think that's the key.
The future.
You heard it here, folks.
I wouldn't want it. I like painting.
Yeah, so do I.
You're so old, man.
I know.
Jasper, again, I want to thank you for chatting with us about what is your project, the Great Wargaming Survey, and I want to go out asking you this question. I mean, you've been doing this for 10 years. What do you see as the value of this survey? I mean, why do you run this survey? It's a lot of work that you put in year after year. What's the goal of this in your mind?
Well, I think it's valuable to learn about our community and about ourselves, and that, you know, that's a politically correct answer, I'm sure, or a socially desirable one anyway. What always has motivated me is looking at the results and seeing, as Miles just mentioned, how enthusiastic everyone is about their hobby, and you see that, and you see it in like, what do you enjoy about wargaming? You know, it's to hang out with friends and painting the minis, collecting art, all those things that I love doing too, and just seeing that we all love doing that, that's just motivating and enthusing.
So if you want to see more of the results of the 2023 Great Wargaming Survey, you can go to WSS, to their website, to their blog, where they'll have much deeper analysis. We will make sure that there is a link in the description below.